Nope. I'll take it from that. Everybody's quiet. Right. Two
Sorry,
declarations.
Chair, there are a couple. I think Fion's having a few technical issues there.
Right.
It's just John Brinmore Hughes, Charles McCoubrey. No?
Charlie McCoubrey, yeah.
Oh, just John Brinmore for this morning, sorry.
Okie dokie. Adwin, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just to apologise. When I was in Riddle about a few weeks ago, people weren't aware that I'd been off ill. I've been in hospital and I had an operation on my eyes, and that's why I haven't attended other meetings which apparently you were not aware of. So I do send my apologies on that.
Okay, thank you for that. Is that all apologies? Okay. All right, moving on to number 2, declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest? Well, if anybody does and it comes up unexpectedly, please do let us know. Okay, 3, notice of urgent matters. I haven't received any urgent matters. Nope, nothing. Okay, on to number 4, minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of March. Okay. I'm on 3 different screens at the moment, so that's always right. Okay. Do we have any matters arising from those minutes? Or first of all, a point of accuracy. Is everybody happy with the accuracy of those minutes? I can't see anybody's hands up. I think people are warming up this morning. Okay. Austin, you've got your hand up. Austin, you want to unmute?
Yes, sorry, no, just putting my hand up to say that I'm happy to recommend that they're correct.
Okay, do I have a seconder for those minutes?
Seconder.
Okay, Anne, I can hear your voice. Okay, all those in favour of the minutes being accurate who were there, of course. That's great, thank you very much. Okay, any matters arising from those minutes? No. Are there any actions from those minutes that we need to refer to? No, okay, I will say that's okay. Okay, we'll move on to the substantive item, which is the number 5, the draft annual governance statement 25-26 for recommendation. Who's leading on that first?
That'll be myself.
Okay, Anne, fire away.
Thank you. So this report presents the draft annual governance statement for the year 2025 to 2026. So we always look back with the annual governance statement, and provides assurance that North Wales Fire and Rescue Authority continues to maintain effective governance, risk management and internal control arrangements in accordance with its statutory duties. The preparation and publication of the statement forms part of the authority's responsibilities under the Accounts and Audit Wales Regulations 2014 and reflects the principles set out within the CIP for Solace framework, delivering good governance in local government. It supports the authority's wider legislative obligations, including operating in accordance with the relative law and regulation, safeguarding public funds, securing economy, efficiency and effectiveness in the use of its resources, and demonstrates alignment with Welsh legislation and policy expectations, including the Wellbeing and Future Generations Wales Act 2015 and the Fire and Rescue National Framework for Wales. The statement confirms that governance arrangements continue to strengthen during 25-26, including enhanced oversight of risk, performance and programme delivery, and the establishment of a culture board in response to the CREST advisory review. It also identifies a focused programme of improvements for 26-27 to ensure continued compliance, assurance and organisational improvement. So members are therefore asked to note the contents of the annual governance statement for 25-26 and approve its submission to Audit Wales in line with the statutory requirements. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you.
Diolch, Ant. Okay, open to questions from here. Well, I will start off then. So, in the beginning of the report on page 7, there's a listing of all the different committees we have at the Fire and Rescue Authority. It seems like an awful lot for the size of organisation that we are. Can you confirm that has any review taken place to merge, or is that the right number? Because it seems like a lot of meetings and not enough time for operational matters in there. So if you can just confirm on that, that's my first question. And then moving over to the next page, we've got the North Wales Fire and Rescue, we've got the management team. We don't have a deputy fire chief or fire officer at the moment, or if we do, I don't know if it's there. And also, we have 3 assistant fire chiefs, and I'm just looking at the assistant chief officers as well. Who are they, and or how many do we have? Just those questions to begin with.
Thank you, Joch. Yeah. So we have actually done a piece of work this recently, the past few months, reviewing our governance and assurance structure. Members will probably note that we implemented it in July 2022, that sort of summer of 2022, we recognised that we needed to implement a governance and assurance structure. So we started to implement it in that year, and it became well embedded over those subsequent years. We also felt that it was time for us to review that. So quite a detailed piece of work has been conducted with heads of department and the principal officer team, who mainly are those main members of those governances, and also met with the group leads, the leads that lead the subordinate groups under each of those structures, because we were getting some feedback, as you say, that it's a very robust governance structure, but also there was some feedback in relation to, can we simplify it, and is there ways of lessening the burden. We came out with a similar structure, to be honest, because when the work was done, the teams recognised that actually the structure itself does work. The embeddedness of it, the groups are feeding in really well. But we added some measures to make some of those reporting lines easier. We tried to simplify those reporting lines, because obviously they report up to SLT as well. But we have conducted a review of that, yes, and there was some minor changes, but it is significant. It's substantially stayed as it is. But we have conducted a review, and that review is conducted with the people that sit on those structures.
Okay, and in terms of the leadership?
In relation to the leadership team, you are right. We currently are carrying a vacancy for the Deputy Chief Fire Officer, which is the structure that's presented within the report demonstrates the established structure, if you like, what is there. But the current positions that are occupied are obviously the Chief Fire Officer and myself, Justin, and Helen as the Assistant Chief Fire Officers. So the Deputy Chief Fire Officer role is currently vacant, as is the Assistant Chief Officer role, which was previously held by Sean Morris. That was the role that Sean held. So those 2 roles are currently carried as although they're established, they're carried as vacancies.
Okay. It might, yeah, it's not mentioned anywhere about the vacancies. It's just saying that we have them in place. Okay. Anybody else got any questions regarding the draft governance? No. Okay. Well, I will move on. It mentions safeguarding on the page 21. How updated are we on safeguard training when people come into the force? Do they automatically receive safeguard training?
So I might have to jump in on here, but what I can offer you, Chair, is that we have just appointed a full-time safeguarding manager, and that role was a role that we have been keen to fill for probably 12 months or so now. I know one of the priorities for that role is to review and assess where we're at in relation to safeguarding, and making sure that we are building on where we already are, and we are in a good place. There is mandatory safeguarding for all staff, yes, But Justin, as the chair of the safeguarding committee, is probably a little bit closer to this than I am, so I might ask him to come and put some meat on the bones.
I think you've covered a lot of it there, Ant, in terms of, yeah, I chair the safeguarding committee. Yeah, we've recently taken on Alice to assist to make sure that we're following the very latest approaches to safeguarding. But the committee that we have, as we mentioned previously, we use that committee to monitor every aspect from safeguarding concerns that we have, incidents of note, the referrals that we receive from our staff, but also the training of our staff as well. So we do have some safeguarding training in place, and we will be looking to increase and improve that as we move forward.
Okay, thank you for that. We can't see any more questions. Hands up. So I will move to stakeholder engagement and announcements on our website and other people's websites. We say we're an open organisation. Does that include the performance management reporting? How extensive is that to the public eye through our online channels, but also our stakeholder engagement? All our principal councils, do they publicise us on their websites?
No.
There was a no from Anne.
I can certainly answer in relation to the performance monitoring report, which we present to executive panel, and obviously, as with all papers that is presented to executive panel, they are published on our outward-facing website. So they certainly are. But I do know that we had a service leadership team workshop away day last week, and I know Llynos, one of her desires is to revamp our externally facing website and put some improvements into how user-friendly and how we can better share the performance that we deliver. We have some performance dashboards which are in the infancy internally, which we are sort of building and developing. And I think one of the visions and plans would be to get some sort of a methodology where members of the public could view those dashboards externally and really see what the live performance of the service is. But we do, just for your assurance, we do publish the performance monitoring report externally. I'm unaware of the detail in relation to local authorities.
Okay, Anne Davis, you've got your hand up. Anne?
Yeah, Chair, when I said no, immediately Town Council came to mind. And I
Right.
think, that maybe they could do more really to publicise the good work that's going on. While I'm on the subject, I'd like to thank the fire service crew that attended their own carers events in Rydlan on Saturday. And of course, well-being would come into that, I think. The well-being of the children, how amazing the crew were with the young children, allowing them to sit in the fire engine. And it meant so much to these children, little things like that. And they made sure I had a chat with them. They circulated with the members of the public. So it was really good to see them there. We have 1,500 young carers in Denbighshire. And it's quite sad, really, and humbling to see these young ones on Saturday, how polite and, lovely they were. So I'd like to extend the thanks to the crew from Rill. And I suppose the well-being of the crew when they liaise with young people comes into that training as well, I would imagine, doesn't it? But they were excellent with them anyway.
Absolutely, it's the front face of our service, and the service it does an awful lot, not just to make sure people are aware and prevention and fire safety, and it is a fantastic job. Arwen, you've got your hand up as well.
Ie, bore da. Ie, gan dyn nôl i'r cwestiwn oedden ni'n trafod ychydig yn ôl i Justin, os gwelwch chi dda, yn gofyn pa bryd oes na amserlen wedi cael ei roed ar gyfer hysbysebu dirprwy bennaeth y gwasanaeth tân, a beth ydy'r oedi na da ni ddim yn mynd ymlaen efo'r penodiad yma?
So sorry, Councillor Roberts, was that directed to me?
Arwen?
Sorry.
Was that directed to Justin? to answer.
Justin or Anthony, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably a question for the chief in terms of how our organisation is structured. Certainly, we've had quite a number of moves in recent times, and I think this was really about a period of stability in terms of a team. So that the four of us currently, as principal officers leading the organisation, but I guess in terms of those other vacancies that we've got within the team, I would probably say that's probably I'd defer the response on that to the chief. As you could understand, that we've probably all got a vested interest in those vacancies. Yeah.
Okay, diolch yn fawr.
Okay, thank you for that. And I've got a question regarding project management capacity. So in there it says we have established dedicated project management capacity. This is particularly important with, of course, the new training centre, but ongoing we've got people leaving with that capacity and people joining who would want to become on projects. What sort of continual professional development do we have on that for that?
Thank you. Yeah, so we the project management, the PMO function, project management office, sits within the planning performance transformation team, and at the moment we have a dedicated project support officer role, which we brought in probably about 12 months ago now, and Lucy now has sort of done that root and branch review of our methodology, and as she and Jonathan presented our middle leader events last year, just to introduce and to upskill and bring that shared understanding to our middle leaders. You are right. We already have a couple of bespoke project management projects running with project management teams. We have our record management system in our prevention and protection team leading. We have a dedicated project manager there that's working on the rollout for us in that regard, because that's quite a significant project for the service. Justin's team has a dedicated project team for the training centre that Louise manages, and has a project manager apprentice there in that team. So our skills and attributes in relation to project management are certainly developing. We've got some fantastic examples of it working really, really well. And one of the visions for the wider team, the planning performance transformation team, is to have a PMO officer. So we have a job evaluation going through at the moment, and the desire is to introduce a dedicated project management officer role to the organisation, because we recognise that not only the existing projects, we have some significant projects coming over the horizon. The emergency services network is a huge project which will impact the service in the next 4 or 5 years. We have some significant projects in all departments. So to professionalise that area of the business, we recognise we need a dedicated specialist in that area, which we are developing job evaluations for, that we intend to move forward with over the next 6 months or so.
Okay, thank you for that, Ant. Okay, can't see any more hands up. Okay, if we can go to the recommendations. So do we have a proposer for that report?
Proposal, Chair.
Anne, and a seconder? Arwen, all in favour? There we go, thank you ever so much. Okay, moving on now to item number 6, draft annual statement of accounts 25-26 or recommendation. Is that you, Helen?
It certainly is. Thank you, Chair and Borodar Palb. It's the second item of our statutory accounts today. So we've had the annual governance statement, and I'm pleased to be able to present the statement of accounts, the financial aspects for 25-26 for your consideration. So by way of context, these are our unaudited accounts and have been prepared in accordance with the Cyfarfod code and the statutory requirements. They were produced and certified by the end of May, which is ahead of the revised Welsh Government timetable, and the external audit by Audit Wales is now in progress. Following the conclusion of the audit, the final accounts will come back to members for approval, and that should be later in the year. I'm going to start by really acknowledging the hard work of the finance team. and colleagues across the organisation in producing the accounts within such tight timescales. In particular, our Head of Finance, Elgin Roberts, and also the Deputy Head of Finance, Katie Owen, both of whom have been very instrumental in achieving these deadlines. I don't think we can underestimate the amount of work that goes into it. The accounts themselves run to 86 pages, and that's absolutely necessary to ensure that we fully comply with the code. Although I would direct people to page 1 to 18, because that contains the narrative report. The narrative report sets out the key financial performance and the position in a more user-friendly format. And one of the questions that you raised in respect of the annual governance statement was around our activity and our performance. And I can direct you to table 5 of the narrative report, and that makes the link there between the financial aspects of our organisation and the activity. In overall terms, I'm really pleased to be able to confirm that the authority has maintained a stable and well-managed financial position during the year. That's despite a range of pressures, but I think what that reflects is the fact that we put a lot of effort through the Budget Scrutiny Working Group with members to actually set a budget that we know addresses all of the risks, and we understand the pressures before we start the financial year. On the revenue position, we've delivered a small surplus of approximately £121,000, and this is consistent with the detailed forecast that we provided to the Fire Authority in April. Whilst that's a relatively modest surplus, it's important in the current climate that it reflects our strong budgetary control, careful vacancy management, and disciplined financial oversight throughout the year. I'm sorry, I'm slightly distracted because actually it's raining outside and it's hammering on the roof, so I will continue. As a result of the year-end outturn, our usable reserves have increased to £11.8 million at the year-end. Importantly, the earmarked reserves are not excess funds, they're actually held to support known commitments. We've touched on a couple of those already, some of those projects, including the replacement of the emergency service network. Alongside that, we've got reserves for asset replacement, so really smoothing the costs over the useful life of the asset, insurance liabilities, and in service investment on improvement. Over the medium-term financial plan, these will reduce, and that's consistent with the plan approved by the authority in April. Turning to the capital, our total investment during the year was just over £5 million. And this has supported key priorities, including the replacement of ageing fire appliances, a range of infrastructure projects, including ICT, replacement of equipment, and essential building works. It also includes grant-funded expenditure to support our commitment to further reduce our carbon consumption, and of course, the continued development of Hub Awen Training Centre. Following the year end, 3.9 million of approved capital schemes will carry forward into 26-27, and that reflects the timing of schemes rather than any delivery issues. I'd like to turn to the wider financial position, and the balance sheet remains robust with appropriate levels of assets, liquidity and borrowing, and we also comply with the Treasury Management Strategy, and you'll receive a full year report on that later on today's agenda. By way of assurance to members, the accounts have been prepared in accordance with all of the relevant accounting standards and the regulations. The governance arrangements supporting the accounts have also been reviewed, and the responses to Audit Wales inquiries are included in your pack today. These confirm a strong commitment to a strong control environment, a low risk of fraud, and no material governance concerns that we've identified. Before I conclude today, I'd like to highlight that although the current position is stable, the forward look does remain challenging. We've got pressures linked to pay, pension costs, inflation, and capital funding. They all continue continue to present a pressure, and we therefore anticipate using reserves over the medium term. In closing, I'd like to reiterate my thanks to the finance team and colleagues across the service and in delivering the accounts to the high standard. We're asked today to note the draft outturn, endorse the movement in reserves, and note the supporting governance responses provided to Audit Wales. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, ACFO Helen. Yeah, sorry, I can't see the screen because of the sunlight, so I don't know where our microclimate in Tassop and Dizzes fit in.
Stopped now, bizarrely.
Okay. One thing I would like to highlight is the capital investment in training facilities. So we are still uncertain about the future capital funding presenting for Hub Arwen, and the training facilities in other places are unfit for purpose or are becoming unfit for purpose. If we do not, and when we do not achieve this target of getting funding, when do we start looking at alternatives maintenance of our current facilities, bearing in mind it is a health and safety risk if we do not invest in our training, full stop. So don't know if you want to lead on that, Justin.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that maintenance of our facilities is an ongoing ongoing process. We have to maintain our facility as we are currently. I have actually got a paper on exec panel this afternoon, which presents to the executive panel the risks, the significant risks associated with this project, and funding is most certainly one of those. So what we're looking to do currently is slow this project down for a few months, and that gives us more time to explore those funding options. I guess when I brought the strategic outline case and the outline business case to members previously, we gave, I think on the first iteration, there was probably 5 options, everything from doing nothing right the way through to building a centre which is, cutting edge and does everything you could possibly want from a training centre. And within those papers, I previously highlighted the risks that were associated with each of those options. I think we will need to go back and look at our options. I'd say at the moment, the work that we are doing is we are still looking at options around funding, and we're looking around options around affordability. We're not at the decision point today at the moment about changing options. There is still a strong case for developing the proposals which we brought to members, so we are still actively pursuing that. But I guess the work that we're currently doing is looking at that balance between affordability and basically what we can deliver. So, what comes with that is strengthening the business case. We've already written a business case, I think, since probably I last spoke to the wider authority group. We've been considering that impact of perhaps community resilience and social value as well, and realise that perhaps within our business case writing, we probably haven't explored those 2 areas as broadly as we can. We've obviously had a change of administration as well within Welsh Government, so that means the conversations that we previously had, we're potentially having conversations with different people now. So that's something that we are pursuing. But I sort of be assured that making sure we deliver something, we're still committed to delivering on the training centre, but we are going to have to look at how that is funded in the future.
Okay, thank you for that. Right. Okay, any hands up? David, you want to come in, Treasurer?
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Nôl yn y Treasurer, Helen has usurped the 151 role, and I'd like to congratulate her. Llongyfarchiadau Helen ar lofnodi'r cyfrifon yn drefnus ag amserol. A diolch hefyd i Elgan a'r tîm cyllid am yr holl waith tu ôl i'r datganiadau yma. Mae lot o dudalennau yma i'r aelodau ddarllen, ond lot mwy o waith yn y cefndir i gyrraedd yma. Dwi'n meddwl bod mae'n fanteisiol iawn cyflwyno'r cyfrifon yma yn gynnar yn y flwyddyn. Fel doedd Helen, maen nhw wedi cael eu cyflwyno cyn yr amserlen statudol, ond mae gwneud hynny wrth gwrs yn caniatáu i'r archwilwyr ddechrau ni'n gynnar, a da ni'n cael cwestiynau'r archwilwyr allan o'r ffordd mwyn i'r staff a'r tîm medru droi at faterion rheolaethol sydd am helpu ni symud ymlaen. O'n i'n darllen yr cyfrifon fel ymgynghorydd ac yn just edrych am y ffigurau mawr, ac o'n i'n gweld y ffigurau mawr ar John at dalen 71 o'r pecyn yn Saesneg, a na i droi i'r Saesneg i egluro peth o hwn achos mae'n reit dechnegol. Welwch chi'r ffigurau 22 million na ar yr remeasurement of net defined benefit liability. Wel, cyfan di hwnna di ffigurau bapur ynglyn â pensiynau yn Saesneg. The government, HM Treasury that is, announced a change in the SCAPE discount rate. SCAPE being superannuation contributions adjusted for past experience. The SCAPE discount rate used for firefighters' pension scheme is now CPI plus 2%, revised up from CPI plus 1.7%, and that just makes the future value of payments greater, which means that there's a huge swing there, but the SCAPE rate has been adjusted to take account of long-term GDP growth figures, but members shouldn't be too alarmed with that. It went one way 26 million last year and the other way 22 million this year. So I shouldn't really be drawing your attention to it, but just to provide some assurance that that doesn't really need further scrutiny. The occupational firefighters' pensions in the UK have consistently operated from inception as an unfunded pay-as-you-go schemes. They were first introduced on a national scale in 1948, and rather than relying on an invested fund as a company pension scheme would be, or even the local government pension scheme is, benefits are paid like state pensions, paid from general taxation and current contributions. So unfortunately, we haven't got the benefit of a invested fund to balance that out. So it does stick out like a sore thumb of a big number. Generally, I think the accounts are in a good place. As Helen mentioned, there are unusable reserves, which I've referred to one. There are usable reserves which have gone the right way, but they are earmarked for specific purposes. So really, I'm just waffling a bit now to thank Helen and the team for the accounts and to just assure members that these look very professionally drawn up. I think that Elgan's tweaked them a bit since last year as well, and Helen must be pushing him more than I am. But yeah, than I was, I should say. But na, da iawn, rhan goch eto, a diolch yn fawr.
Diolch, David. Yeah, certainly. I was just about to ask a question regarding the liability of pensions, but you've answered that really well. I know you've got your fingers on the pulse there, definitely. Just one additional question, and it's due to project slippage. An awful lot of money, nearly 3.9 million, has gone forward. How are we avoiding project slippage in the future, and what lessons have we learned? Bearing in mind the longer we take, the longer the costs of inflation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to pick that one up. There's a broad range of schemes within that. Some of them are ICT, some are fleet, and some are our buildings. I think part of that are the governance arrangements, making sure that we spend the money at the right time. So we do have project governance in each respect, and it's making sure that we deliver the schemes in accordance with the governance. It's really, really hard at the inception. So if we take fire appliances, we're placing orders today for delivery in about 3 years' time. So a delivery in March puts the spend in 1 year. A delivery in April puts the spend in the next year. So it has been very, very carefully managed.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more questions regarding the report? Okay, so the draft annual statement of accounts. Do we have to have a formal recommendation that is the case? Just moving up to the recommendations. Okay. Right, so recommendation 6, it is recommended that members 1, note the unaudited revenue and capital outturn position, 2, note the unaudited balance sheet position, 3, note and endorse the movement to and from reserves, and 4, endorse the response to Audit Wales in relation to matters of governance relevant to the statement of accounts. Can I have a proposer for that, please? Yes, Ian Hodge, Councillor Gareth Jones, you've got your hand up. All those in favour? Yeah, I think that's unanimous. Okay, all right, so moving on now to item number 7, Head of Internal Audit's opinion and annual report 25-26 for assurance.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bore da. Diolch yn fawr iawn. So this is the Head of Internal Audit opinion for 25-26. So I'll just take you to the document if that's okay. So section 1 details the overall opinion for the year, which is substantial assurance, so which is fantastic news for the service. So overall, that there is a good system of internal control designed to meet the organisation's objectives and that controls are generally being applied consistently. Section 2 sets out the roles and responsibilities for the Head of Internal Audit opinion. Section 3 sets out the basis of the opinion and how we have derived to the opinion for the year, which is essentially made of 3 elements. So the work that's undertaken on the assurance framework, the core and risk-based reviews issued during the year, and the work on our follow-up of previously made internal audit recommendations. Section 4 sets out the internal audit coverage and outputs for the year. This section also sets out our support and guidance provided in year, as well as the additional areas which you've provided added value contributions during the year as well. Section 5 sets out the areas for consideration for the annual governance statement, which you've already seen earlier in the agenda for today. Section 6 sets out how we ensure quality in compliance with our professional standards and accreditations. So happy to take any questions. Mwy na hapus I cymryd unrhyw cwestiynau. Diolch yn fawr.
Okay, thank you for that comprehensive overview, Hannah Harrod. Do we have any questions? Nope. And I don't have any questions either. Oh, Helen.
Chair, it's not a question, it is more of an observation. I'd like to thank Anne Harrod for the hard work of her and all of her team over the year. To get the Head of Internal Audit opinion directly after the year end is no mean feat. And actually it's really important to us because it underpins and supports the annual governance statement. So thank you to Anne Harrod.
Diolch.
Thank you indeed. Okay. If nobody's got any further questions or comments, I'd like to read the recommendation. So it is recommended that members 1 note the content of the Head of Audit and Procurement annual report and the overall opinion upon the adequacy and effectiveness of the authority's framework of governance, risk management and control. Can I have a proposer for that, please? Councillor Jeff Evans, and seconder, Councillor Jones. Okay, all those in favour? There we go, thank you very much. Okay, so moving on, a quarterly internal audit progress report for 26-27 for assurance.
Okay.
There we go again.
Yeah. So this is our progress report, which you're used to seeing at every audit committee. So this covers the work that we've undertaken between the 1st of March to the 31st of May this year. So since the last audit committee, we have issued 1 report in relation to risk management core controls. So our review has identified that some progress has been made by the service since the previous review in 24-25. However, we have identified that a number of recommendations remain outstanding and not yet being actioned, and that further work is required to improve and embed the risk management arrangements further at the service. Happy to take any questions in relation to that piece of work, if that's okay, before I carry on.
Okay, so Gareth, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, just wondered on a bit of information around the reasons that some of the recommendations haven't been implemented. You know, is it something we need to be concerned about, or is it just that everything moves on and maybe they're not really top priorities, or should we be pressing that all these recommendations are actually put in place sooner rather than later?
So I'll take this, and then Ant, if you can come in, is that okay? So we have seen some movement in terms of the actions that we raised last year. So, for example, we can see that the risk management strategy has been taken forward and agreed and approved. Training's now in place. So those easy fixes have been put in place. Now it's more around the embeddingness of those arrangements going forward, which is obviously going to take time. But happy for Ant to come in if you've got anything further you wanted to add.
Thanks, Anne Harrod. And I think, as Helen said, Anne Harrod has been a real supporter and advocate, and her team of us on our journey here. Councillor Jones, we've probably commenced we recognised probably about 2 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, that our risk management processes and structure weren't robust enough and weren't following best practice. So we reached out to Anne Harrod and her team to support us in that developmental journey, where we learnt around. We follow now the Orange Book of best practice, governmental best practice. And so we literally had to do a root and branch review of how we do stuff. So almost starting again. We had Anne Harrod's guidance and support in as a sort of critical friend in the first year of that journey. We had an internal audit opinion last year, which again showed us that we were still on that journey but had work to do. And we continue on that journey. Anne Harrod kindly came to our strategic risk committee this time round and presented to the heads of department this findings, but also how those heads of department can improve on our risk management structures and that embeddedness that Anne Harrod highlights. And also that offer of support. We are on a journey. Is the simple truth. It's certainly a priority for us, but we also have an awful lot of other activities to deliver. But we have embedded risk management and risk identification as the core building block and starting point of developing our departmental plans, and Elgan and his team have been really helpful in that with us, to the point of then setting our departmental objectives, to then setting the objectives within the community risk management implementation plan. So risk and risk management is very much at the heart of everything we do. We've been on a long journey. It can be frustrating that we haven't, some of these areas we haven't embedded as well as we could have, but it's just it's a reality of capacity and taking the heads department in particular on a new journey, but wanting to take our time and do it well rather than rush it and do it poorly. So we're on a journey, but Anne Harrod's team have been fantastic in supporting us in that.
Okay, Gareth.
Thanks for that background, and it sounds as if it's something that was never going to be fixed in the short term anyway, and probably from my side of things, it's just that understanding that yes, we're moving in the right direction and it is going to take time anyway. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Any more hands up, questions? Okay, can I have a proposer that we accept the quarterly report? Gareth? Okay, thank you for that. And seconded? Councillor Tina Claydon, thank you. All those in favour of receiving that quarterly report? Thank you. Okay, I seem to have skipped one, which is the internal audit charter. How could I have skipped that? For 24, 26, 27 for assurance. So over to you, Anne Harrod, again.
Yeah, so this is just for your information, really. So this document is mandated through the Global Internal Audit Standards. We have to issue it on an annual basis, and it just sets out our internal audit activities, purpose, mandate, and our responsibilities to yourself. So it's just for information today. Thank you. Diolch.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so I think that's great. So just a committee acceptance of the charter. Yeah, all those in favour? Yes. Thank you. Okay, so item 10, we're going on now. Treasury Management Outturn Report for 25-26. Who's giving the Treasury Management Outturn Report?
Could that'll be me.
Good morning, Alan.
bod aelodau. Bore yma dwi am gyflwyno adroddiad rheoli trysorlus ar gyfer 2025-26. Mae'r ddogfen yma yn rhan allweddol o'n trefn llywodraethu gael rhoi sicrwydd bod ein bensyca a buddsoddi wedi wneud yn unol â chod sitfa a cynllun ar gymeradwywyd. Felly pwrpas o'r adroddiad ydy edrych yn ôl at 2025-26 a rhoid y hyder hon i aelodau. Rwy'n falch o gadarnhau bod pob gweithgaredd a rheoli trysorlus wedi aros o fewn y ffiniau a benodwyd yn y strategaeth trysorlus 2025-26 a gytynwyd yn yr awdurdod tân yn Ebrill 2025. Nid oedd unrhyw dorcyfraith na methiant gan fanciau yn y cyfnod hon. O safbwynt ariannol, ar tudalen 211, roedd bensyca tua 15.8 miliwn ar diwedd y flwyddyn, sydd yn is na'r lefel flaenorol. Mae bensyca net hefyd wedi gostwng, gan ddanos dull gofalus o rheoli llif arian. Yn bwysig, mae hyn yn parhau yn is na'r anen cyfalaf, felly nid ydym yn benthyg cyn bod anen. Rydym wedi cadw dull cytbwys, sef llai o bensyca tymor byr a mwy o sicrwydd gyda bensyca tymor hir pa fo hynny'n briodol. Ar fusoddi, mae lefelau wedi bod yn gymedol ac yn bennaf i reoli arian dydd i dydd. Y blaenoriaeth oedd diogelwch ac argaledd ac mae hyn wedi gynnal drwy'r cyfnod. Bod amgylchedd allanol wedi bod yn ansicrwydd gyda mwy o wybodaeth i weld at tudalen 210 o'r PAC. Yn benodol, mae newid mewn cyfradd llwg a phwysau byd-eang wedi bod, ond ar rhan sefyllfa trysorlus y gwasanaeth, dyn ni wedi bod yn eitha sefydlog ar gyfer y flwyddyn 2025-26. Wrth edrych ymlaen, mae'n glir y bydd anen bensyca yn y blynyddoedd nesaf i gefnogi buddsoddiad cyfalaf. Bydd hyn yn galw am dull gofalus o ran cost ac ansicrwydd. A fel rydym wedi gweld yn y 3 mis diwethaf, mae costau ariannu wedi codi, felly bydd hyn yn parhau'n faes i gadw dan sylw. Cyn cloi, hoffwn bwysleisio ein bod wedi cydymffurfio a cynllun bod gen i rheolaeth clir o bensyca a buddsoddiadau ac ydyn ni mewn cyswll gyda'n cyngor trysorlus a Wynglws. Felly gofyn i'r aelodau nodi gweithgaredd a danosyddion am y flwyddyn o ddaeth i ben ar 31 Fawrth 2026. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you, Elgin, for that. Open to questions or comments. I would just like to raise a concern that if we do not get central government funding for the training centre, where does that put us in a position to borrow in the future? Are we likely to borrow, or are we likely to abandon that project, or are we likely to match fund that project in any way?
You coming in there, Helen?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it's a really, really relevant question at the present time. We have capacity to borrow through the PWLB, but the question then becomes one of long-term affordability. That there isn't an easy answer to that, but what I can say is that work will be picked up as part of budget scrutiny for the development of the budget through 27-28, 28-29 and 29-30. So that work will undertake, because we have to balance it off between investing in the new training centre or investing in the existing facilities, which we know are coming to end of life. So I don't have a definitive answer, but what I can tell you is that work is ongoing and in detail, and will form a particular stream within the budget scrutiny working group.
Okay, thank you for that. Or I would say going forward, that is a really important thing that we monitor, because of course it affects each and every one of us members, because our constituents' authorities will have to pay for that. Okay, so just based on that. Any more questions? Okay. All right, well, if I move to the recommendations, that we note the Treasury management activity and prudential indicators for the period of the 1st of April 25 to the 31st of March 2026. Okay, can I propose that that's okay? Councillor Tina Claydon, and a seconder, Austin Roberts. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the number 11, the audit plan for 2026.
Yep, so I'll be taking this forward. So, Baradar Pawb, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Following the conclusion of our audit planning work ahead of the audit, work commenced on the audit at the start of last week. I just intend to give a brief overview of this year's audit plan. If there's anything you'd like me to explain further, please feel free to ask. So we are required to issue a report on the financial statements and the firefighters' pension fund, which includes an opinion on their truth and fairness and their proper preparation in accordance with accounting and legal requirements. So we use a concept of materiality to help us do this. Materiality is the level of misstatement which would cause our audit opinion to be altered. Materiality on this audit is set at just over £1 million, which is based on 2% of gross expenditure. A lower level of 245k is set for the firefighters' pension fund. On the materiality page, we've also included our trivial reporting threshold. So any errors which do not exceed this threshold are considered trivial, so will not be reported back through the ISA 260. There are two areas which are considered material by nature due to perceived public interest. These are senior officer remuneration, where materiality is set at £1,000, and related party transactions, which is set at 10k. We have one significant financial statements risk, which is management override. Under audit legislation, this risk is present in all audit engagements due to the unpredictable way that such an override could occur. We have a few other areas of focus, which I'll just touch on. So we have the valuation of the pension fund net liability or surplus. This is a standard area of focus due to large values involved. This is also a technically complex area and requires a large amount of estimation and uncertainty from actuaries. Valuation of land and buildings. The authority holds a significant number of assets and valuations are based on estimates. Assets are required to be revalued every 5 years, and from 25-26 onwards, CITFA have new requirements which include the application of indexation. This introduces additional judgments and calculations for the finance team. Senior officer remuneration. There's been several appointments made to senior posts during 25-26. Remuneration paid to senior officers continues to be of interest and is material by nature. Related party disclosures. Again, this is an area which is viewed as material by nature due to the high public interest. Page 12 sets out the proposed timetable for the financial audit work planned and undertaken. As touched on previously, the work commenced at the start of last week. And then page 13 discusses the planned performance work. So I'll pass on to my colleague, Charles Rigby, to touch on these.
Thanks, Kieran. Baradar Pawb. So picking up on page 14, which sets out the legal basis of which the Auditor General carries out his performance audit work, which is referred to as proper arrangements, which reflects the legal duty in the Public Audit Wales Act that the Auditor General has to be satisfied that the authority has proper arrangements for securing economy, efficiency and effectiveness in its use of resources, which we commonly know as value for money. The page sets out the kind of arrangements that we look at a high level when planning our work, and also some details there around the international standards of performance audit that we apply in our work. The following page also sets out the two other duties that the Auditor General has for his performance audit work. That relates to the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act and being satisfied that the authority is taking steps to achieve its wellbeing objectives. And the final one there, which is unique to fire and rescue authorities, is around continuous improvement under the measure. The following page after that, which is page 16 of the plan, sets out our intended project for the year, which relates to the on-call firefighter provision that the authority, as you'll be well aware of, uses in the majority of its fire stations, and just being satisfied that value for money that economy, efficiency, and effectiveness is considered when taking steps to provide that service, but also in terms of availability, recruitment, and retention. So happy to say our planning work on that is well underway. So hopefully we'll be in contact with officers in due course to plan when we'll deliver that. But as is set out in the plan, all of our performance audit work across all of our councils, local bodies, local government bodies, is planned to be completed by the end of June. The page after that sets out the Auditor General's other statutory responsibilities, such as the rights to questions and objections from local electors. I won't go into that in too much detail. And then the final kind of substantive section before we get on to our contact details relates to the fee. So the Auditor General wrote to all audited bodies in November 2025, setting out the reasons for the 5.3% increase in fees. And just to summarise, that effectively relates to our transition from having a backlog as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic to now being substantively caught up with our financial audit work. Obviously, the thing for me to emphasise is that the fee on page 19 of the plan is an estimate. It is not the fee necessarily the authority will be charged. It can go up and go down. If everything is of good quality and provided efficiently, etc., then the fee will be lower than that. It is an estimate, and we'll communicate in due course the final fee once our programme of work is completed. The actual fee for the financial audit work is included in the plan. Unfortunately, the paper deadline for this meant that we couldn't finalise the performance audit fee, but I can also provide that in writing in due course as well if members are interested in that. So the final section, as I touched on, is around our contact details should any members wish to get in contact with us, or officers, of course, as well. And we'll keep our ongoing engagement throughout our work. That was it, Chair, in terms of the detail of the plan that Kieran and I wanted to go through. But as Kieran mentioned right at the start, if members have any questions, happy to cover those now as well.
Okay, hands up, no calling out. I would like to start then. You mentioned about pay, certainly management and senior pay. Is that checked on a comparative scale with the rest of Wales, rest of the UK? And yeah, how are we competitive with everybody else? Are we up? Are we down? Are we the same?
That's not a piece of work that's done as part of the financial audit work. So I can see Helen's put her hand up, so I'll pass on to her if that's a question more internally.
Yeah. I think Kieran's raised that because certainly when you look at the statement of accounts, senior remuneration is one of these sensitive areas. So the audit focus will be on ensuring that the amounts actually paid align to the contracts, and actually the amount disclosed is consistent with the amount paid. So it's to give that assurance to a user of the accounts and the public of North Wales that those amounts are fairly stated.
Okay. I notice Gareth, our legal officer, has got his hand up, quite keen to respond.
Yes, so the rates of pay for the principal officers within the Fire Authority are set on a benchmarked basis. The LGA benchmarks at a senior level across fire authorities, and our rates of pay are pegged to that. There is a 3-yearly, I think, from memory review process to ensure that we are in line with those, and we aim for the median figure, Chair. Within that, it was a decision of the Fire Authority shortly after the chief arrived. So I'm wanting to say around 22, 23. Might be longer ago than that even, Chair. But it was a decision taken by the full authority that would be the process.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, any comments or concerns regarding that report? No, everybody's quiet. I'd just like to... Oh, David, sorry, you've got your hand up.
Thanks to Kieran and Charles for your usual cooperation. So the timetable in, I think it's page 13 of your report, is that the standard timetable for every audited body, or is it specific to us and North Wales Fire? Because I would hope that there's quite a long tolerance in that July to December one on the bottom there, but hopefully you'll come back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so that's a bespoke one specifically for this engagement. Our ambition is to report back to the FRA meeting in July, but that gives us quite a short turnaround, really. So we're being ambitious, but yeah, in terms of producing our ISA 260, that would be in July, and then the sort of, I think that just kind of shows the rest of the year in terms of like the annual summary of the audit and things like that, that have come outside of that sort of typical financial audit window. I can see Charles has got his hand up too.
Yeah, just to kind of on that final point, the annual audit summary will be provided once both the financial and performance work is completed, as well as the certification under the measure. And one part of the certification can't be completed until after the 31st of October. So that reflects that deadline as well. So whilst Kieran's correct in terms of the ISA 260, hopefully July, but the consequentials of the measure means the earliest we can get it all wrapped up is November anyway. So just to provide members with that assurance, that's the timetable.
Yeah, thanks for that clarification.
Okay, thank you very much. I can't see any more hands up, and I'm really looking forward, because we've got some great financial controls in place, to having a lower bill this year. But I would kindly like to move to the recommendation, which is that members note the scope of the work undertaken by Audit Wales. Can I have a proposer for that? Councillor Hodge, and a seconder, Councillor Claydon. All those in favour of noting that? Okay, I think that's unanimous. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Okay, moving on, urgent matters. I haven't been told of any urgent matters or any part 2 matters. Is that correct? I can't see any hands up. Yes. Okay, so that's all that leaves me to say is thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye. Thank you.
Diolch, Chair.
Diolch.
Diolch, Gareth. Take care.
Thank you very much. Take care. Okay.